Okay, welcome to another lab. This one is going to be an intro. An intro should be underlined and bolded here into Azure monitoring. Some facts, some fun facts about Azure monitoring. Azure monitoring this is regarding to VMs. Azure monitoring uses agents to collect boot and performance data from Azure VMs. Store this data in Azure storage and make it accessible through the portal, your good friend PowerShell, and Azure command line interface. Advanced monitoring is delivered with Azure Monitor for VMs by collecting performance metrics, discover application components installed on the VM. It includes performance charts and dependency map. This stuff here is pretty cool. We'll get more into that as the labs continue. But the monitor and the dependency maps are pretty cool. In this lab, we will enable boot diagnostics on a VM, view boot diagnostics, view VM host metrics, enable Azure Monitor for VMs, view the VM performance metrics, and create an alert. We'll talk about this after we create the VM. So we're going to create a VM like we've done so many times. And I have the PowerShell here all lined out. So I'm going to run this command here, store my credentials. There. And of course, you can always pause the VM and write this PowerShell command down. But I'm going to highlight it. And it's a very simple command, what resource group I'm going to put it in the VM. We've had longer PowerShell commands for the VM, defining more options, but this is all we need for this lab. So, kaboom. And we'll pause the video. Okay, our VM is created, as you can see. And our next step is to look at the boot diagnostic agent. As a Windows virtual machine boots up, the boot diagnostic agent captures screen output that can be used for troubleshooting purposes, which makes sense, right? If there's an error message upon boot up, we want to see it, and normally we cannot see an Azure VM being booted. And this capability is on by default. We'll check that out here in a second. Capture screenshots are stored in an Azure storage account, which is also created by default. You can get the boot diagnostics data with the get Azure boot diagnostic data command. All right. So if it's on by default, right, we should then run this command here. Oh, we got a resource group problem here. Wrong resource group name. So monitor lab RG, right? VM name is right, and the Windows. So looking at the command, just give the resource group, the name of the VM, and where you want the file to go. We'll run the command. And no diagnostic profile enabled. But I thought it was turned on by default. Let's go check this out. Let's go to our resource groups. Whoops, monitor lab resource group. There we go. And here's our VM. Let's go look at let's go to the VM. Scroll down to boot diagnostics. Boot diagnostic is not configured. So it's not enabled by default. Yeah, this is from Microsoft's own website. And I think what they're saying here is when you install via the portal, the radio button is turned on for this. You might have seen it when we were creating them earlier, and that's what they mean by default. But when you create from the PowerShell, you can see it's not enabled. So we'll go to settings here, turn it on, and we don't have any storage accounts, so I'll say create new. And we'll give it a name of boot diag VM. And purpose 1 is fine, standard, LRS is fine. We'll talk more about what LRS is, storage, general purpose versus 2 when we get to storage groups in our lab series. But we'll say okay for now. Should not take too long. Oh, then we're going to say save. And it's going to go ahead and create boot diagnostics for us. Okay, it looks like we're finished here. Let's go back to back to here. Check our boot diagnostics. And you can see you can also get the screen here as well. So this is one way to get it via the portal. But if you just want to follow the PowerShell way, run the command again, and it should put a file in C stuff. I'll sort by date modified, and here it is. Come on. There we go. So same exact photo as from here, and you can also get it via the portal under the boot diagnostics. All right, pretty good. Obviously, it's not that informational now because we didn't have any problems booting up. Another option you have is metrics. These are real time. And you can see we got a VM, metric namespace, virtual host, and selector metric. And you have lots and lots of different choices. One, of course, is everyone's favorite, CPU percentage. And you can see you got the average. And here you could go, this is a brand new CM, so you see the dotted lines, because the VM wasn't created then. But we could change here to the last 30 minutes. And notice you could do local time or U2C time. And there's our CPU over the last 30 minutes. Not much, 6%, pretty good. That's all we're going to really say about metrics for now. Again, this is a very introduction to monitoring. And notice you can do alerts from here. You can pin it to a dashboard. Those are all things we'll discover later on as we learn Azure together. All right. A very powerful feature in Azure is a thing called log analytics. And briefly, log analytics is this big, huge monster workspace or database where you send all kinds of resources, information into this workspace, and then you can query from it. Again, I sound like a broken record. We're not going to talk too much about log analytics now. We will in the future. But I just wanted to give you a little background on log analytics. Because here, for the VM, we're going to go to Insights, and we're going to enable it. And part of the enable process is to create a log analytics workspace. And you can see here it is. I don't think I'm allowed to create a new one here. I'll just go with the default workspace name, put it in ECUS2 just for now. But really, you can see here I have one for my own personal reasons, and I called it Docker. But I like a better name than this. But for now, this is just fine. So we'll say enable. And it's going to go ahead and enable that for us. Okay, it looks like it's completed. So let's refresh our page here. And this is pretty cool. Here you can see a map. It takes a map of your VM and what it's talking to. Obviously, it's not a great map here because I just have one resource, but here I can see the processes running on the machine. I can see, looks like I'm listening to port 433 their servers. Curious what that could be. Must be something internal to, Microsoft. SpyNet for Microsoft, it looks like. That must be some kind of storage group. And let's see if I scroll down here. Port 3256. There's one server. .168, whoever that is. But yeah, it's pretty cool what you can do here. I can also go to performance now. And notice I get a list of disk space up here. And some graphs of CPU, memory available. Some pretty cool real-time stuff. A little more extra than you get from this normal overview. So compare insights. This is what we consider advanced in our notice I mentioned something about Azure Monitor before. This is how you get to it, and then you have health. Just kind of browse around here, see what they are. Nothing there. Machine properties, get the IP address, DNS, boot time, CPU, our log Alex agent ID. What does VM properties give us? Resource description, VM ID. So we'll update default domain. So that's pretty good information there. All right, the last thing we want to talk about is alerts. And again, this is a very introduction to it, and we're going to create an alert for us about the CPU because everybody loves that example. And so the advantage of going to the resource first and choosing alerts is it fills this first line in for you by putting the resource there. We'll do a condition. And notice we have all metrics activity logs. You can do alerts on activity log, but CPU is what we want. And we're going to go relatively quick here because this is just a introduction. So we want to know when the alert goes off, when the CPU, I think in real time life be like 90. So we'll put 90 there. Every 5 minutes, check every minute. That seems excessive. I'll do something like 30 every 15. Done. We got to create a action group. And that is a group that's sends email. I already have one, so we're good. And alert details. Say alert name CPU alert. CPU over 80. Give a severity. I'll say it's a 2. Upon rule creation, yes, we want to enable it. So create rule. So that'll give us a rule for CPU. Again, I know I went quick because this is not a lab about alerts. This is just a general lab about monitors on VMs. A very brief introduction. Okay, so just a brief overview what we did. In this lab, we configured and viewed performance of a VM. We learned how to create a resource group and a VM, enable boot diagnostics on the VM, view boot diagnostics, view host metrics, enable Azure Monitor for VMs, view VM metrics, and create alerts. And this is a very quick lab from at least for my series. And hope you enjoyed it and come back and watch many, many more.